In the jungles of Vietnam, at night, a soldier from the 101st Airborne Division listens to the silence. He's waiting for a friend or foe signal, and that signal is a metal-on-metal click. A click without a flame was the password. Friend. If a lighter flared, it was the enemy. He didn't know the code and had filled it. An empty Zippo, a malfunctioning Zippo, was more valuable than a full one. This fact shatters the main myth about Zippo, its absolute reliability. How could an object whose sole function was to provide fire save a life precisely when it was deprived of that function? Zippo's entire history is full of such paradoxes that defy logic and business sense. But this wasn't the only time Zippo acted against all logic. The biggest paradox lay in its economics. How could George Blaisdell promise free lifetime repairs in 1936? In the midst of the Great Depression, when any widespread malfunction threatened his tiny company with instant bankruptcy. And how did a simple mechanical lighter from the 30s achieve cult status while thousands of cheaper and more convenient competitors vanished without a trace? To answer these questions, we must crack the code of the Zippo phenomenon. We will reveal 6 keys from ingenious engineering design to the secrets stamped on the bottom of every lighter. By the end of this film, you will understand how a piece of metal became a symbol of an unbreakable promise. Since 1933, over 600 million lighters have been produced. That's enough to build a chain from Earth to the Moon and back. In 3 minutes, you will learn how the Zippo story began with a deception and why its creator was not actually its inventor. The legendary Zippo, a symbol of American design, was almost an exact copy of a clumsy Austrian hurricane lighter. It all began in 1932. George Blaisdell watched his friend struggle with a bulky lighter in the wind. It worked, but it looked ugly. Blaisdell decided he could sell it and bought the rights to distribute it in the U.S. But sales flopped. Americans didn't want to buy an inconvenient European product. The thin metal casing bent easily, and it required both hands to remove the lid. The Austrian lighter was like an old can opener. It did its job, but it required effort. Blaisdell, however, created the equivalent of a Swiss Army knife, a tool that opened with a single click. He changed only 2 things, but they changed everything. The case became rectangular and sturdy, and most importantly, he attached the lid to the case with a hinge. This was a revolution. The lighter could now be opened and lit with one hand. This engineering solution, not copying, became the first key. But even a perfect mechanism is nothing without a perfect promise. Everyone knows about the famous windproof chimney, but how exactly does it work? Why does it have 16 holes, not 15 or 20? The simple explanation: the screen physically protects the flame from the wind. This is logical and seems sufficient, but patents and blueprints tell a different story. It's not about protection, but about creating a perfect storm in miniature. The chimney works on the principle of a flue. The holes create a draft that continuously and evenly supplies oxygen to the wick. This isn't protection from the wind, it's managing it. 16 perfectly placed holes, 8 on each side. This is the result of hundreds of tests to create optimal air pressure. The design was so precise that it formed the basis of U.S. patent number 2032-695. Technical perfection was achieved. But how do you sell it to a world that didn't yet know it needed it? Have you ever encountered a situation where a simple thing worked so well that you wondered what brilliant idea was behind it? How could it be that a product we consider an icon sold catastrophically poorly in its early years? Only 82 lighters were sold in the first month. The price was $1.95. Today, that's the equivalent of $40, a huge sum when a loaf of bread costs 7 cents. The market was flooded with cheap matches. No one believed in the concept of an eternal lighter. But Blaisdell made a decision that went against business logic. He didn't lower the price. Instead, he began giving away lighters for free to intercity bus drivers, people who were constantly visible and interacted with dozens of customers a day. This wasn't just a giveaway. It was creating a network of living ambassadors. Zippo's reliability was proven not by advertising, but by the click and flame in the hands of someone trusted. It was the world's first native advertising. But word of mouth worked too slowly. A move was needed that would ignite the market of trust. Blaisdell had an almost perfect product. He had his first influencers. But the main enemy awaited him in the market: Fundamental consumer distrust. The buyer's logic was ironclad. An expensive item is a risk. If it breaks, the repair will also be expensive. The fear of future repair costs outweighed all the benefits of reliability. This was a psychological barrier. How to break this logic? How to turn the buyer's greatest fear, breakage, into the main advantage? Any standard 1 or 2 year warranty would only confirm that after that period the item would likely break. The fear of future expenses was like a dam holding back the flow of customers. To break it, Blaisdell needed not a trickle of promises, but a powerful wave that would sweep away all doubts. He needed to make a promise so absurd from an economic standpoint that it would turn every breakage into an act of advertising. And he gave it. A slogan etched in metal and in the minds of millions. It works, or we fix it free. Forever. What if this warranty wasn't designed to please the customer, but to utilize them? At first glance, it was pure marketing genius, a demonstration of absolute confidence that removed any fear of purchase. But company archives tell a different story. Every broken lighter sent for repair was a free report for Zippo engineers on design weaknesses in real-world conditions. Zippo didn't just fix problems, it cataloged them. 1,000 lighters had loose hinges, time to change the alloy. The warranty wasn't an expense, it was the cheapest and most effective research department. Today, about 100,000 lighters arrive at the repair clinic in Bradford annually. But how has this promise withstood the test of human cunning? Almost immediately, people began to try and cheat the system. Packages arrived at the factory with rusty competitor lighters, crushed pieces of metal, parts from other mechanisms. Any other company would have created an expert department to deny such cases and avoid losses. But George Blaisdell made an illogical move. He fixed everything. If someone sent him a competitor's lighter, he sent back a new Zippo with a polite letter. "We hope this one serves you better." Blaisdell personally dictated these letters, understanding that a person who received a new Zippo instead of rusty junk would feel not only surprise, but also a slight pang of conscience, and they would tell everyone about it. He didn't fight deception, he turned it into an urban legend. But soon, a storm hit the company that could have destroyed both the product and the promise. 1941, World War II. The price of brass and steel skyrocketed tenfold. A lifetime warranty under these conditions became economic suicide. Any consultant would have advised suspending it until the end of the war. But Zippo made the most radical decision. They not only maintained the warranty, but completely stopped sales to civilians, directing 100% of their production exclusively to the U.S. Army. From 1943 to 1945, Zippo produced over 10 million lighters for the armed forces. This was a moment of truth. By foregoing immediate profit, the company gambled on its reputation. Zippo became synonymous with reliability in the eyes of an entire generation. It was there, in the trenches, that the lighter ceased to be just a thing and gained a soul. The promise was given, trust was earned. But how did a rational choice turn into irrational love? People trust their refrigerator, but they don't make it a talisman. The warranty created a solid foundation, but the edifice of legend had not yet been built upon it. To become a myth, an object must pass through fire and blood. Literally, reliability is a characteristic, a legend is a story. The warranty was like fertile soil, creating ideal conditions. But for a myth to grow on this soil, it required the seeds of human stories, watered by the sweat and blood of war. Millions of lighters went to the front as standard equipment, but they returned not just as lighters, but as witnesses and lifesavers. Next, we will go into the trenches of World War II to see how the third key to the Zippo phenomenon was born. Why did a lighter, not a canteen or a knife, become the primary soldier's talisman of the 20th century? The obvious answer, it was reliable. Its windproof design worked in any conditions, and even Jeep gasoline could serve as fuel. It was the best tool for its task. But veterans' testimonies hide another truth. The Zippo was one of the few items from home in a world of impersonal Army ammunition. The helmet, rifle, uniform, everything was identical, government issued. A soldier could spend hours cleaning his issued M1 Garand rifle, but only the cold, smooth casing of the Zippo in his pocket was his personal, tangible reminder of a world without orders and uniforms. The company made a conscious choice to serve the Army, and this made the lighter theirs for every soldier. It wasn't just issued from a supply depot, it was created for them. But its functions went far beyond lighting cigarettes. Everyone has heard the legend of the soldier whose Zippo in his breast pocket stopped a bullet. This unique, almost miraculous coincidence became part of the mythology. But the reality was far more prosaic and widespread. Military archives are full of stories where a Zippo saved a life not by miracle, but by ingenuity. Its flame was used to heat dry rations directly in a helmet. Its polished casing was used to send signal flashes. It sterilized surgical needles before removing shrapnel. A soldier could boil water for coffee in his helmet in 5 minutes, using just one Zippo refill. It became the soldier's equivalent of a Swiss Army knife, a universal survival tool whose value was determined not only by its fire, but also by its owner's will to live. But the most important thing happened not within the mechanism, but on its surface. Why did soldiers, risking punishment, cover government property with engravings, from names and dates to maps and anti-war slogans? The simple reason: to mark their item so it wouldn't be confused with others. But the psychological meaning was deeper. In conditions where everyone wore the same uniform and was deprived of individuality, the smooth steel surface of the Zippo became the only available canvas for self-expression. It was a quiet act of preserving one's identity, and engraving on a Zippo was like a tattoo. In a world where the body was subservient to the army, the lighter's metal surface became a second skin on which to imprint what truly mattered. These were calendars of days served, names of loved ones, prayers. Each Zippo became a unique diary. Have you ever had an item you personalized to truly make it your own? Millions of lighters returned home, transformed into family heirlooms. But how to systematize these scattered personal stories and turn them into a global collecting phenomenon? For their owners, these Zippos were priceless. But to an outsider, they were just old lighters. There was no objective system by which to determine their exact age, authenticity, and market value. Demand for those very wartime Zippos grew. The company needed a mechanism that would not only date each lighter, but also turn this process into an engaging game for owners, separating originals from fakes. The solution was brilliant in its simplicity, and it was stamped on the very bottom of every lighter. Next, we will crack Zippo's secret code, which became the fourth key to its eternity. Look at the bottom of any Zippo: dots, slashes, Roman numerals. What do these secret marks mean? The official reason for their appearance in the mid-50s was purely pragmatic: internal quality control. The codes allowed specific batches to be traced in case of widespread defects and the problem to be quickly corrected in production. But enthusiasts cracked the system. They noticed that the codes changed and began to decipher them. Soon Zippo realized the marketing potential of this side effect and began officially publishing dating tables. A boring control tool turned into an engaging game. Every owner could become a detective and find out the exact month and year of their lighter's birth. This obsession with detail went so far that in 2002, Zippo officially registered the sound of its lid's click as a trademark. It is designed to be unique. But how did the code on the bottom affect the real value of a piece of metal? How can a lighter, bought for $20, be sold at auction for $37,000? The simple answer: age and rarity. A 1933 model in perfect condition was auctioned in Tokyo for exactly that amount. But collectors' catalogs reveal another truth. Value is determined not only by the year, but also by the smallest details confirmed by the code: stamping errors, prototypes that didn't go into production, limited editions. Zippo collecting became similar to numismatics, with its complex rules, grades, and rarities. Thanks to the codes, Zippo ceased to be merely a utilitarian object. It became an investment asset with a confirmed history. People started buying not just one lighter for themselves, but dozens, creating collections. This phenomenon gave rise to an unexpected ally in the battle for eternity. How does the passion of collectors help the lifetime warranty survive economically? A simple assumption: collectors don't use their rare lighters. They keep them on a shelf so they don't break them and don't send them for repair. But the reality is more complex. When any item becomes potentially collectible, the attitude towards it changes even for the ordinary user. It isn't thrown in the glove compartment, isn't lost, but is carefully preserved. The culture of collecting indirectly subsidizes the warranty. It creates a culture of careful handling which sharply reduces the percentage of breakages due to negligence. This process acts like a shock absorber for the warranty. The more valuable an item becomes, the softer the impact of daily use. But to remain an icon, and not just a valuable item, Zippo needed a more powerful ally, and this ally was found in Hollywood. So, Zippo became an artifact with a personal history and a confirmed date of birth. It gained a past. But is that enough to remain a living legend and not a museum exhibit? Historical value is sufficient for a narrow circle of enthusiasts. But to remain a global brand, an 18-year-old teenager needs to want to buy a Zippo in the 21st century. How do you make an item created in the 30s remain a symbol of coolness for every new generation? For this, Zippo didn't need expensive advertising. It needed only one sound. A sound you've heard hundreds of times in movies, even if you've never held a Zippo in your hands. It's the famous click. Next, we're going to the film set. Zippo has appeared in over 2,000 Hollywood films, from noir dramas to Die Hard. How much did the company pay for this gigantic exposure? The answer, zero. How is this possible in a world where product placement costs millions? At first glance, the reason is obvious: historical authenticity. For films about World War II or Vietnam, Zippo was not a choice, but a necessity. But directors quickly realized it's not just a prop, but a powerful storytelling tool. The nervous, repetitive clicking of the lid conveyed anxiety. A slow, confident click and light conveyed coolness. Zippo became a silent supporting actor who, without words, told more about the hero than dialogue. Hollywood gave it a 70-year free advertising campaign. How can a sound become legally protected property? The famous Zippo click has been a registered trademark since 2002, like the MGM studio Lion's Roar. But it's just the sound of a metal box opening. What's unique about it? At first glance, nothing. The click seems like a side effect of the design, the metal lid hitting the case. But Zippo engineers have deliberately worked on this sound for decades. It's created by the precise interaction of the spring-loaded cam, its shape, material, and calibrated force. It's not an accident, it's acoustic engineering. The sound has become as integral to Zippo's identity as its logo or shape. But it was at this moment that the world was challenged by the ideology of disposable items, which could have destroyed Zippo forever. In the 1970s, the market was flooded with cheap plastic Bic lighters. The price difference was more than 17-fold. Every economic forecast predicted Zippo's demise. Why did an expensive lighter, requiring refills and maintenance, not just survive but strengthen its position? The simple explanation: it carved out its premium niche as a status gift. But in reality, Zippo didn't compete with disposable lighters. It ideologically opposed them. In an era when things were made to be thrown away, Zippo became a symbol of durability and personal responsibility. Each refill and flint change became a ritual, an act of care, not a drawback. The cold weight of steel in the hand versus weightless plastic. It was a choice of worldview. We have revealed 5 keys to the Zippo code: a brilliantly refined design, a bold marketing promise tempering in the fire of World War, the secret collector's code, and its status as a Hollywood icon. But all of this would collapse if the main mechanism didn't work. How has a company that has produced over 600 million lighters, each of which can be returned for repair at any moment, not gone bankrupt? Logic suggests it's impossible. It must be either charity or deception, but it is neither. Behind the lifetime warranty lies not magic, but a cold, perfectly calculated economic mechanism. We stand at the threshold of the Zippo Repair Clinic. Next, we will dissect the economy of eternity and reveal the last, most important key. How did the promise to repair any of 600 million lighters not lead to bankruptcy? It sounds like financial suicide. What's the catch? 90% of breakages are worn flints or wicks. Owners replace these themselves. They are consumables. It's not the sturdy steel casing that breaks, but the internal, replaceable mechanism, the insert. But here's the main secret of the Zippo Repair Clinic. Inserts are almost never repaired. The technician removes the old mechanism and instantly inserts a new one. The operation takes 10 seconds, and the old insert goes for recycling. The cost of a lifetime repair in most cases is the price of one insert, which is dozens of times lower than the price of a new lighter. The company spends a hypothetical $1, but gains a customer whose enthusiasm will bring in 10 more. But what if the casing itself is broken? In 1996, a Zippo was brought to the clinic, extracted from the stomach of a 40-pound pike. What does the company do with such dead specimens that have been run over by a steamroller or lay for years at the bottom of the ocean? Logic suggests the warranty ends here. Any customer would understand a refusal. But Zippo tries to repair even this. Specialists manually straighten dents and restore hinges. And if the casing is beyond repair, the customer is sent an entirely new lighter, but their old broken one is returned as a relic and a testament to their personal history. Zippo never leaves a customer with nothing. The loss from such a replacement is the most effective investment in reputation, generating legends. But if the company gives away lighters so easily, how does it make money? Why does a company so generous with free repairs so insistently demand the use of only original fluid and flints? The official version, only their consumables guarantee the perfect operation of the windproof mechanism. This sounds like perfectionism and customer care. But the numbers shatter this noble picture. This is a classic razor and blades business model. The lighter itself, the razor, is sold once with minimal or even zero profit. But the consumables, the blades, the customer is forced to buy constantly for decades. The average user buys up to 4 bottles of fluid and 2 packs of flints per year. Multiply that by millions of owners. The lifetime warranty is not an expense. It is the most ingenious marketing tool to forever bind the customer to an ecosystem of continuous purchases. An eternal item ensures an eternal stream of income. So, the code is cracked. What then is Zippo? The enigma of the economy of eternity is solved. It's not a miracle or altruism, but brilliant calculation, where every repair is an advertising budget, and every owner is a source of constant revenue from consumables. Now we have all 6 keys, and we see the complete picture. Zippo's success is not just about the warranty or its war history, it's synergy. The reliability of the design made the warranty possible. The warranty created trust. The war transformed trust into a legend. The legend, through collecting and cinema, became an icon. And the economic model made this icon immortal. 6 keys from one perfectly balanced system. In the finale, we will assemble them into a unified philosophy to understand the main lesson that a simple piece of metal teaches in the 21st century. A century of broken promises and disposable items. At its core was a simple, honest thing. The first key, ingenious design. George Blaisdell took a clumsy Austrian prototype and refined it to absolute perfection. He created a mechanism that simply worked, always. Without this physical, tangible reliability, everything else would have been built on sand. It was this confidence in his product that allowed him to make an unheard-of promise. The second key, the lifetime warranty, was not a marketing gimmick but a direct consequence of engineering impeccability. It was a declaration of faith in his own creation. And then this trust was tested by fire. The third key, war. The battlefields became the crucible where millions of soldiers personally confirmed the promise works even in hell. This extreme experience transformed a good product with smart marketing into an indestructible legend. But even a legend can die. To become eternal, it needed new value, going beyond a simple story. And it received it. The fourth key, the secret code. The dating system on the bottom of the lighter transformed each Zippo from a personal relic into a historical artifact with confirmed authenticity. It became a time capsule. And then this valuable artifact became an object of universal desire. The fifth key, Hollywood. Cinema made Zippo a symbol of coolness, reliability, and rebellion that millions wanted to own. Some rare models, originally costing a couple of dollars, now sell at auction for $30,000. And this entire system was placed on an unshakable foundation. The sixth key, perfect economics. The razor and blades model and the transformation of repair into advertising made the legend not only culturally significant but also financially immortal. Now we can answer the questions posed at the very beginning. Why could Blaisdell make a promise that seemed like economic suicide? Because he created a product he had no doubt in and built a business model where the warranty became not an expense, but a sales driver. How did a simple lighter achieve cult status? Because it ceased to be just a thing. It became a witness to war, an artifact for collectors, and an icon for moviegoers. Zippo is not a piece of metal. It is a concentrate of human stories. In a world where products are made to break and promises are worthless, Zippo's story teaches us the main lesson. Its success is not about lighters, it is about the value of a kept word. Zippo is the physical embodiment of an unbreakable promise that you can hold in your hands. And what item in your life has become a symbol of such an unbreakable promise? Together, we have uncovered the 6 keys that make up the Zippo phenomenon. We have seen how engineering, marketing, history, and economics are intertwined. But if you had to choose just one, the most important factor, what would it be? What made Zippo a legend? George Blaisdell's brilliant marketing, his bold promise, and a well-thought-out business model, or the unbreakable reliability of the product itself, its simple and timeless design, which made that promise possible? Write just one word in the comments below this video, marketing or reliability. Let's see what this story has more of, brilliant calculation or honest metal. Thank you for coming this far.